he was supposed to stand at the altar the next morning. His wedding clothes were ready. His heart was full of hope. But that night, tragedy struck. The woman he loved, the woman he was going to marry, slipped into a river and drowned. By sunrise, Joseph Scriven was no longer a groom. He was a broken man, standing beside a grave. He left his homeland, carrying only grief and unanswered questions. Years later, poor, lonely, and far from home, he wrote a simple poem to comfort his sick mother. Those words, written through tears, would later become one of the most powerful hymns ever sung. What a friend we have in Jesus. But the pain behind those lines is deeper than most people ever imagine. This is the heartbreaking true story of Joseph Scriven. But very few songs were written from a broken heart that never truly healed. This is the emotional true story behind the hymn. What a friend we have in Jesus. Joseph Scriven was born in Ireland in 1819. He was brilliant, gentle, and deeply devoted to God. He studied at Trinity College and had a bright future ahead. But his life changed forever on the night before his wedding. The woman he loved more than anything, the woman he was supposed to marry the next day, drowned in a tragic accident. She fell into a river and never came out alive. One moment, Joseph was a joyful groom-to-be. The next moment, he was a shattered man holding grief too heavy to carry. The wedding never happened. The home they dreamed of was never built. The children they imagined were never born. Only silence remained. Broken and unable to stay in Ireland, Joseph left everything behind and moved to Canada, hoping distance could ease the pain. But sorrow followed him. Years later, his mother fell dangerously ill back in Ireland. Joseph had no money to travel. All he could do was write her a letter. But instead of ordinary words, he poured his broken heart into a poem, a message of comfort, faith, and trust in God. That poem would later become one of the most beloved hymns in history. What a friend we have in Jesus. What a friend we have in Jesus. All our sins and griefs to bear. What a privilege to carry everything to God in prayer. These were not just lyrics. They were tears on paper. Joseph wrote from deep loneliness, heartbreak, and longing, reminding his mother that no matter how heavy life became, Jesus remained their closest friend. Joseph never remarried. He never recovered from the loss of his first love. Instead, he dedicated his life to helping others. He lived in poverty. He gave away his money, his clothes, and even his food to those in need. People called him the man who lived the gospel. Often, he owned almost nothing. Yet, he was rich in kindness. One cold winter night, neighbors noticed Joseph hadn't been seen for days. They went to check on him. They found his lifeless body near a frozen stream. The same kind of water that had taken the love of his life now took him too. He died, poor, alone, and unnoticed by the world. But heaven surely welcomed him home. Joseph Scriven never knew his poem would become one of the greatest hymns ever written. Today, millions sing his words, often in moments of grief, pain, loneliness, and prayer. And through his suffering, Joseph continues to comfort broken hearts across generations. What a friend we have in Jesus. Not just a song, but the cry of a man who lost everything and found his only comfort in God.